Dr. Marcus Ellison had only been working the night shift for 3 weeks when he first stepped into room 414. The nameplate outside read Margaret Whitmore, and though he didn't know it yet, this room would change everything. Marcus was young, barely 30, with a fresh white coat, warm eyes, and hands that never rushed. The hospital halls still smelled like ambition to him, but he was different from the others. He didn't come from a line of doctors. He came from South Side Chicago, raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs so he could chase his dream. Every patient mattered to him, even the ones who couldn't speak. Margaret Whitmore was one of those. 82, stroke victim, comatose for 2 months. The staff whispered about her. Old money, never married, no kids. Her life was all boardrooms and bank vaults. But now there she was, fragile and silent in a sterile room, breathing with the help of machines. Every night Marcus checked her vitals, adjusted her IV, and changed her bandages. He spoke to her softly, even though he knew she couldn't hear him. "Good evening, Ms. Whitmore. I hope today was kind to you," he'd say while gently removing the gauze. It was a ritual, one that comforted him more than her. But on that Thursday night, something shifted. As he peeled back the bandage on her arm, he noticed a twitch. Subtle, almost like a nerve reaction. He paused. He whispered, leaning closer. "Ms. Whitmore, can you hear me?" Nothing. He chalked it up to muscle memory and continued. But as he wrapped the fresh gauze, her fingers curled. Just slightly, enough for him to freeze. He stepped back, heart racing. "Okay, that's new," he muttered. He checked the monitors. All normal. No signs of consciousness. Still, he couldn't ignore what he saw. He stayed a little longer that night, just watching, waiting, and then, the moment that would shatter everything, her lips moved. He leaned in, eyes wide, pulse pounding. Her voice was barely audible, a breath escaping through cracked lips. "Who are you?" Marcus froze. The words hung in the air like a ghost, barely real yet undeniable. "Who are you?" she had said. His mind scrambled to make sense of it. Was it a hallucination? A misfire in her brain? But no. Her eyes were fluttering now, trying to open. He rushed to the hallway and pressed the red emergency button. "Patient in 414 showing signs of consciousness. I need a neuro team here now." Back in the room, Margaret's lips trembled again. Her eyelids parted just enough to reveal dull blue eyes that hadn't seen light in months. She blinked slowly, disoriented, as if she were resurfacing from the bottom of an ocean. The ICU team rushed in moments later. Nurses, a neurologist, a respiratory tech. The room swarmed with voices and hands, but Marcus stayed by her side, gently holding her wrist. When her eyes found his again, they locked. Not with fear, but something else. Curiosity. After an hour of checks and whispered disbelief, the conclusion was clear. Margaret Whitmore was waking up. By morning, the news spread through the hospital like wildfire. The press didn't know yet, but inside the building, Margaret was a miracle case. And Marcus? The doctor who saw it first. Later that day, as the buzz calmed, Marcus returned to her room. She was now more alert, though still groggy. The machines hissed beside her, but her gaze was steady. "You stayed," she said, her voice hoarse but sharp. He nodded, unsure what to say. "Yes, ma'am, I'm Dr. Ellison. I've been, taking care of you." She studied him for a moment. "I remember your voice. You talked to me." Marcus's heart skipped. "You heard me?" "Not always," she murmured. "Just bits. But I remember feeling safe." No one had ever described Marcus like that before, especially not someone like her. "You're the first thing I saw," she added, her voice thinning again. He smiled softly. "Well, I guess that makes me lucky." But Margaret didn't smile. Instead, her face tightened, as if a memory had tugged at her. "How long have I been asleep?" "About 2 months." She looked past him, out the window. "Then something's wrong. Something's not right." Marcus tilted his head. "What do you mean?" But she just closed her eyes. The next few days passed in a strange rhythm. Margaret regained strength faster than anyone expected. Her vitals stabilized. Her speech became clearer. Nurses whispered about it being divine. But Marcus sensed something deeper, not just recovery, but urgency. Every time he checked on her, she was staring off, as if chasing thoughts she couldn't quite catch. She asked few questions about the hospital, none about her estate, her wealth, or her past. Instead, she kept circling back to one question. Has anyone been to see me? Marcus hated how still the visitor log was. No one yet, he admitted gently. Margaret's eyes narrowed. 2 months in a coma. Not one person? I'm sorry, he said. Maybe they don't know you're awake yet. She looked away. No, they know. The silence between them grew heavier each day. Then one morning, as Marcus helped her sit upright, she grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. I need you to listen, Dr. Ellison, she whispered. I don't think my stroke was natural. Marcus frowned. What makes you say that? I remember things. Before I passed out, I felt dizzy, not sick, poisoned, and there was someone in the room with me. Marcus's blood chilled. Do you remember who? No, she said, shaking her head. Just the smell, cigar smoke, and a voice whispering, You've had your time. He tried to remain calm. Could it be a dream? Her eyes met his, sharp, lucid. I've been in business 40 years. I know when someone wants me gone. Marcus hesitated. This was beyond his role, beyond medicine. But something in her tone, a mix of fear and fury, kept him from dismissing it. If someone hurt you, he said carefully, we should tell the police. No, she snapped. Not yet. They'd only alert the wrong people. He leaned in. Then what do you want me to do? She paused, choosing her words. There's a black ledger, hidden in a safe at my estate, behind the fireplace in the study. It holds everything. Names, accounts, betrayals. If they think I'm dead, someone will go for it. Marcus stared at her. You want me to go there? Yes, she said, voice trembling. I need someone I trust. He swallowed. Why me? Margaret's eyes softened. Because you stayed. Because you saw me when I was invisible. Marcus didn't answer, but in his chest something stirred. A sense that this wasn't just a patient anymore. It was a mission. That night, Marcus sat in his car outside the Whitmore estate, staring up at the mansion like it belonged in another world. It was silent, dark, and intimidating. A place built on generations of secrets. The gates had been left slightly ajar, just as Margaret instructed. The housekeeper only came twice a week. Tonight, it was empty. His fingers trembled slightly as he stepped through the heavy front door. Inside, it smelled of aged leather, cold marble, and money. The silence was thick. Every step echoed like a question he couldn't answer. Margaret had told him exactly where to go. The study, second door on the left, past the grand piano. He found it, dimly lit, lined with bookshelves and a wall of family portraits. Oil paintings that stared down like judges. The fireplace was massive, carved stone with a mantle full of dust. He crouched, feeling along the inner frame just like she'd said. His fingers brushed a small metal plate. Click, a panel slid open, revealing a narrow black safe. Marcus's breath caught. He entered the code Margaret had whispered. Her mother's birthday, backwards. The lock clicked. The door creaked open. Inside, wrapped in velvet, was a worn black ledger. Thick, heavy, old school. He opened it carefully. Names, numbers, account codes, offshore banks, transactions that looked criminal. Marcus's stomach turned. This wasn't just corporate dirt. It was enough to bury people, or make them kill to keep it hidden. He snapped a few photos with his phone, just in case. As he closed the ledger, a floorboard creaked behind him. He froze. Don't move, said a deep voice. Male. Calm. Deadly. Marcus turned slowly to find a man in a dark suit standing in the doorway, holding a pistol low at his side. You don't belong here, the man said. Marcus tried to speak, but his throat tightened. I'm just a doctor, he managed. I know exactly who you are, the man said. Dr. Marcus Ellison, I see you. You've been spending a lot of time with Miss Whitmore. Marcus's blood ran cold. "I don't want trouble," he said, then put the ledger down. But Marcus had already slipped it into his bag. He took a slow step backward. "Last warning," the man growled. Marcus made a choice and bolted. He heard a shout, then the crack of a gun. A bullet tore through the doorframe as Marcus dove behind the couch, heart pounding. He didn't stop running until he was back in his car, tires screaming down the road. He had the ledger, but now someone knew. Marcus didn't drive home. He couldn't. Not with the adrenaline flooding his veins or the weight of the black ledger sitting on the passenger seat like a live grenade. Instead, he parked in an empty church lot across town, hands trembling as he tried to steady his breath. His phone buzzed. A text from a private number. "Leave it where you found it, doctor, or next time, you won't walk away." He stared at the message. Cold. Director. No name, no warning, just a threat. He knew then this was bigger than just some shady corporate documents. This was about power, the kind that didn't hesitate to kill. Marcus didn't reply. Instead, at dawn, he returned to the hospital and went straight to Margaret's room. She was awake, upright, and waiting. "You found it," she said, the moment their eyes met. He nodded. "And someone else knew I was coming. He had a gun." Her face darkened. "Then they're watching the estate." "I took photos," Marcus added, "but the original is still with me." Margaret reached for his hand. "I'm sorry, I never wanted you involved like this." "You didn't drag me in," he said softly. "I walked in." She gave a small, grateful nod. Then her voice dropped. "Did you see the names?" "A few. Offshore accounts, donations to political campaigns, some military contractors. Every dollar bought silence," she said, "or loyalty." "Is this what you built?" he asked carefully. Margaret looked away. It's what I inherited. I was too scared to burn it down. Until now." Marcus leaned in. "What's the end game?" She met his eyes. "I want it exposed, all of it, but not through the police. They're compromised. This has to go public. Fast and loud." He hesitated. "You want me to leak it?" "You're the only one I trust," she said. "And if anything happens to me again—" "Don't say that." But she squeezed his hand. "You have the truth now. If I go silent, don't wait." He nodded, heart heavy. Later that day, he emailed an encrypted copy of the ledger to a journalist friend from college, someone he hadn't spoken to in years, but knew still chased the truth. By nightfall, that friend called him back, voice shaking. "Marcus, this could take down a dozen people in Washington." "I know. And you're sitting on the only copy?" "No," Marcus said. "I made 4. There was a pause. "Then you better be ready, because once this gets out, you won't be invisible anymore." Marcus hung up, staring out the window of the break room. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. 2 days later, the world changed. The story broke on every major news network. "Whitmore Ledger exposes high-level corruption," read the headline on CNN. Names of CEOs, politicians, and even a former federal judge flashed across screens. The evidence was irrefutable. Direct transactions, secret meetings, blackmail payouts. It was all there. Marcus stayed anonymous. For now. But inside the hospital, everything shifted. Security was tightened. Reporters circled like vultures trying to get any glimpse of Margaret. Hospital admin wanted her transferred to a private facility, but she refused. "I stay here. With him," she told them, nodding to Marcus. She hadn't left her bed, but her fire was back, and so was the danger. That night, Marcus returned to her room after hours. He found her awake, eyes alert, but her hand trembled slightly as she reached for her water. "You okay?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "They're coming." "Who?" "I saw a man by the nurse station earlier. Same suit, same look." Marcus's stomach turned. "I'll call security." She shook her head. "They'll disappear before anyone gets here. They want me scared, isolated." He pulled a chair close. "You're not alone." She gave a weak smile. "You were never supposed to be part of this." He chuckled dryly. "Welcome to life. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then again, a slow buzz filled the room. Unnatural, low. Power surge. Marcus stood up. Stay here. Lock the door after I leave. But before he could open it, the handle twisted. Slow, deliberate. Margaret's heart monitor spiked. Then a loud voice from the hallway. Step back. Gunfire. Shouts. The door burst open, but it was the hospital's private security team. Behind them, two plainclothes agents tackled a man trying to flee in scrubs. Marcus pulled Margaret into his arms as chaos unfolded around them. For the second time, she survived an attempt to erase her. 2 weeks later, she was discharged, escorted by federal agents into protective custody. But before she left, she called Marcus into her room one last time. You saved my life, she said, twice. I just did what was right. No, she said firmly. You did what others wouldn't. She handed him a small envelope. Inside was a key and a letter. I've rewritten my will. Everything goes to a foundation in my name, and you'll run it. Help those no one sees. Marcus was speechless. I don't know what to say. Then don't, she smiled. Just keep seeing people. She squeezed his hand one last time, and then she was gone, but not silent. Her story had shaken the powerful, still just a doctor.